Ottawa. There's an old saying in politics that goes, you're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts. But as Toronto Star reporters recently found out, in poring over 5 days' worth of transcripts from the House of Commons' daily question period, opinions about those facts can vary greatly. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau rises during question period in the House of Commons on Parliament Hill in Ottawa on June 20, 2018. Justin Tang, the Canadian Press. After publishing our question period fact-check project last week, the Star received 4 requests for clarification or correction on where we came down on certain facts. In the interest of transparency, here are those requests, as well as the response from our team of reporters and editors. Taxing web giants and asking about the taxation of web giants on April 30, NDP MP Pierre Nantel said that almost every Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD) country collects sales tax from the massive internet companies. The Star assessed this as false. Article continued. Bella, upon review, Nantel was correct. At the time of the question, only 4 of 34 OECD countries didn't charge sales tax on digital services: Canada, Chile, Mexico, and the United States. But on June 21, 2018, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that individual states can charge sales tax on digital companies with no physical operations in that state, bringing the number to 3. The fact-check will be updated to reflect that, and the Star regrets the error. Boreal woodland caribou. That same day, NDP MP Linda Duncan asserted that the boreal woodland caribou in British Columbia and Alberta are on the brink of extirpation. The Star assessed this as false, saying both the mountain and boreal woodland caribou are officially listed as a threatened species, 1 level below endangered and 2 below extirpation. While it is true that the mountain and boreal woodland caribou are officially listed in Canada's Species at Risk Public Registry as threatened, an independent advisory committee in 2015 assessed the status of the mountain caribou in 2015 as endangered and encouraged the federal government to update the public registry. The Alberta Wilderness Association discovered in 2011 that the province's own scientists recommended downgrading the status of both the boreal and woodland caribou to endangered. In both cases, political approval is required to update the official registry. This hasn't happened to date. So even though the caribou may not be officially considered endangered, Duncan was citing the most up-to-date and accurate scientific information in her question. The Star regrets the error. Article continued. Below. New election law. On May 1, Acting Democratic Institutions Minister Scott Brisson said he has every confidence that Bill C-76, the Liberals' electoral law changes, will be in place for the next election. That is why it is important that we pass the bill through Parliament and the Senate, and make sure it is in place for the next election. I have every confidence that it will be, Brisson said at the time. The Star assessed this as a stretch, explaining that even if Bill C-76 became law that day, Elections Canada has already said implementing it will involve some compromises. That's because the agency needs approximately 18 months to make significant changes to the electoral system, a deadline that has already passed. Brisson's office requested a correction. They argued that Brisson's statement did not preclude Elections Canada making compromises to implement Bill C-76. The Star maintains his assessment was a stretch of the truth. The statement clearly implied that, should it be passed by the House of Commons and the Senate, Bill C-76 would be implemented in full by the next election. Based on Elections Canada's public comments to date, that is not correct. Bill C-76 has still not been passed by the House of Commons. Robocalls. On May 3, Acting Democratic Institutions Minister Scott Brisson said the Conservative Party used robocalls to send people to the wrong polls, referencing the investigation into voter fraud in the 2011 election. The Star assessed this as false, saying there was no evidence the Conservative Party used robocalls to send citizens to the wrong polls. Brisson's office requested a correction, in noting that ex-Conservative staffer Michael Sona was convicted in the affair. Sona was then working as a communications staffer for the Conservative candidate in Guelph. Sona's trial heard he paid for 6,700 automated phone calls the morning of the 2011 federal election, directing non-supporters of the Conservative Party to the wrong polling station. The trial judge ruled that he did not act alone. There has been no evidence, however, that the Conservative Party was involved in the scheme. Brisson's office argued that blaming the party would be a stretch, not a falsehood. In the interest of fairness, the Star will reassess Brisson's statement as a stretch.